Yesterday, the Biden administration announced that it is forming an interagency team to address unidentified aerial objects.
Yeah, this move comes as more people and leaders are demanding increased transparency about these objects and as bipartisan criticism grows on Capitol Hill. Along with the alleged Chinese spy balloon shot down more than a week ago, the White House took down 3 other unidentified objects over Lake Huron, Alaska, and Canada just this past weekend. That's a number the Associated Press calls unprecedented in peacetime. So we want to bring back in NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. She's joined by NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kube in Brussels. Thank you both for being with us this morning. Monica, back to you. The White House has been under a lot of fire from both sides of the aisle here about what they say is just a lack of transparency, a lack of answers for these objects. So what can you tell us about this new team and how it can address that?
Yeah, well, they're hoping to answer some of these many questions that Americans have, that lawmakers have, about whether these new objects in the sky, there are just more of them, or whether we're just detecting them because we've been able to open up a wider range of radar data, and the U.S. military is simply just assessing, detecting, and reacting to more of them. And so yesterday at the White House, the National Security Council spokesman John Kirby announced there would be this new interagency team that's going to look at that precise question, talking about the detection and analysis of these objects. Again, we know that the initial Chinese spy balloon is one thing, and then they're putting these other 3 objects, which they can't really define beyond that, in a different category. And so we're hoping to learn a lot more about that. But the White House yesterday did try to answer some of these questions, but they still aren't able to say much more about these other 3 objects because they're in the process of recovering pieces of them. And that process is very complicated by the fact that there are tough winter conditions in the Arctic waters for where one fell, the other over the Yukon in northern Canada, and then the third that plunged into Lake Huron, which the depth of which is also a complicating factor. But the White House did say yesterday that President Biden was first briefed on all aerial objects and this trend that we're seeing back in 2021 for the first time, that this is something the White House has been aware of, but that they are also cognizant that they need to dedicate more resources to it now, given all of these growing questions. And the pressure does continue. The lawmakers on Capitol Hill from both parties have really said they would like the administration to be even more forthcoming. The administration says it's not like we have the information and we're holding it back. We just simply need more time, they say, to determine what these other objects that were shot down actually are.
And Courtney, Monica touched on what feels like the million-dollar question right now. Are there more of these unidentified objects in the sky, or are we just tracking them more closely? Have you been able to speak to any of your intelligence sources who feel like they can answer that question?
Yeah, we've been asking that question literally since this began, is what's happening here? Is this a new phenomenon and there's suddenly all of these unidentified objects in the sky, or is it just a factor of what Monica was just explaining about this change, or sort of this change in how the U.S. military is looking at their radars? So the way they've almost refined the way that they're looking at some of these radars that gives them more fidelity or a better view of different altitudes and some smaller objects that in the past they might have just sort of written off as clutter. They're now looking at a little bit more closely here, and in some cases, as we've seen just recently over the weekend, they're sending aircraft in to try to find what these smaller objects are and determine whether they could be a potential threat. And that's one of the big factors here in these most recent downings of these unidentified objects, these 3 after the Chinese surveillance balloon, is the potential for a threat. There are sort of 3 categories here. One is, do they present a threat to people on the ground? 2, do they present a threat to civilian or military aircraft that are flying at certain altitudes? And the third is, do they present a larger national security threat? Could they be flying over an area with sensitive information or sites on the ground that would be a potential national security threat? And that's what has been factored into these decisions to take these balloons out. Now, we heard for the very first time last night from Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, one of the people who's been in the room during the decision-making process to shoot these objects down. He spoke for the first time about what kind of threat these unknown crafts present. Here's what he had to say.
I want to reassure Americans that these objects do not present a military threat to anyone on the ground. They do, however, present a risk to civil aviation and potentially an intelligence collection threat. And we'll get to the bottom of it.
So civilian aviation, that's the altitude they're flying at. The potential collection threat is the piece that we still don't know. Are these surveillance assets or not? That's one of the questions we keep asking here.
All right, Monica, Alba, and Courtney, Kube, we appreciate your time and reporting this morning. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.